And then how do you change brand? I'm going to give you a very simple exercise. Everything I do, I reduce to the simplest because I cut my teeth when I started my NeoSage business. And for those of you who don't know, I also run the NeoSage Group, which is my consulting company. And when I first started this company in 2004, about 17 years ago, I was working only with small companies. Why? I had no resume. Why would a big company hire me? So I was dealing with small companies. They're the only people who would hire me. So that's how I cut my teeth on this. So I do so most of my exercises are break it down to the simplest possible. And I would ask anyone who's listening, if you're thinking about rebranding yourself or your company or whatever, any kind of rebrand, you want to go to people, in the case of yourself, who know you, hopefully some professional and hopefully some personal. You want a mix of both. You want at least 3 people. If you can get more, that's great, but 3 will work. 2 is not enough, and one is worthless. At least 3. 4 or 5 is great. 3 is good. You want to ask them questions like this. You start your conversation with something silly like, "Hey, Modest Luck, you know me. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. It's going to seem a little weird, but please stay with me and just go through it with me." Seriously, you want to prep them so it doesn't become a joke, so they don't mess around. So you say, "It's odd, but I'm serious. So please stay with me. I need this to help kind of change my career around and do some changes in my life. So please help me." And then I'm going to ask you this. Modest, let me ask you a question. What animal am I? And it's a serious question. And you're going to be like, "What?" And all you're going to do, this is a critical distinction here. When they try to qualify it, and they often will, you cannot give them any insight, because then you color their world. You can only just repeat the question. That's it. I mean, what animal am I? Now, whatever you answer, I actually don't care what the answer is. I care what the answer to the next question is, which is always the same. Okay, why? The actual thing you answer, I don't care. The why I care about. So if you go, "Larry, you're an elephant." And I go, "Okay, why?" Now, maybe I'm insulted. You think I'm fat, right? Maybe I'm insulted now, but I can't be. I've got to go, "Okay, why?" And you go, "Because you remember everything." That's the why part, right? And that's what I care about. Then I go to another one, and I pick any 3 or 4 random things. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's random. One thing, if it's America, don't say car, because that's so trite and done so often. Someone's already colored by that. So don't use car. But anything else? What kind of food am I? "You know what, Larry? You are spaghetti and meatballs." Okay, why? Now, again, I could be insulted, but shut up. Just say, "Okay, why?" Because what I think of, that's comfort food. So I feel comfortable around you. So you're spaghetti and meatballs. Okay, great. And then go one more. What color am I? What store am I? What insert thing that you feel comfortable, just not car. And just say it, and then ask why. And what you're looking for are words and descriptors that keep popping up. Do that for 3 people. Get at least 3 answers, giving you 9 answers. 9 total answers. And anything that is a one-off, anomaly, throw it away. Yeah. Right? But if any descriptors come up, so say as I go through it, I hear, comfortable and smart. That's what I hear. Comfortable and smart. Like one of those professors who wears a sweater and lets you talk to him in the school. Okay, great. Then guess what? That's my brand. Yeah. Whether I like that or not, that's my actual brand. My brand is the comfortable professor. If I don't like that brand, I have work to do, and I have to change it now. I've got to make a rebrand, change everything, because that's what's coming across. Yeah. If I like that brand, life is good. Move on it. Now, what does that mean? That means I should communicate that way. That's how I should communicate. If people, come back and say, "You know what you are? You're like, that cool hip guy who, I see on the corner with the cool clothes." If that's who you're up with, then you should communicate that way. You shouldn't communicate in a way that sounds professorial if people think you're the cool guy on the street, or the reverse. You might go, "But everyone in my industry, they all communicate this way." It doesn't matter. That's not who you are. You're going to fail in an industry. People are gonna hesitate. The only way you become an outlier in an industry is if you become a congruent brand that people can see. So communicate that way. That's step one. Step two, find a specific person you're trying to communicate to, whoever that person is. Now, if you have a bunch of clients, it's relatively simple. If you have a bunch, right? If you've got, already 100 clients, 25 clients, you've been doing this around, it's relatively easy. Find your top 10% of your customers. Now, how do you find the top 10%? People often go, well, these are the people who bring us the most money. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. The answer is you're going to go look at three separate things. Relatively easy to close. Number one, because remember, you're going to be marketing for new people. So even though you may have a very big client giving you lots of money, if it's because, your brother runs that company, that's not the answer, right? Does that make sense? You want to, because if it wasn't for your brother, you didn't close that, right? So you want to try to find companies that are relatively easy to close. And again, nothing's easy to close. I mean, relative to the rest of them. Second, relatively easy to service. You don't want to get a client and you have to service them so much, you make no profit, right? Revenue is awesome. I love revenue. I love profit more, right? But revenue's good. I like revenue, keeps the lights on. So I like revenue. I prefer to add some profit on top of that. So you want to make sure that they're also relatively easy to service, both of those two things, right? And the last, of course, is, which is a combination of both, is profitable. So those three: relatively easy to close, relatively easy to service, and profitable. If you've got 2 out of the 3, that's fine. 1 out of the 3, 0 out of the 3, do not chase those clients. I'm not saying don't take them. When you require, revenue, take who comes in the door. I'm not saying don't service them. I'm saying do not spend any money to get them. This is my point of efficiency when it comes to sales and marketing. I don't want to spend money to get bad clients. I'll take a bad client if I got to keep the lights on. I got to pay bills. I'll take a bad client, but I'm not going to spend any money to get one. So now that I know who that client is, or clients, I go through my list. If I don't know, I don't have any clients, I make a wish list. Who would I like to have? What do I think? Best guess from my experience. Do those things, and then decide not just what client it is, but who is, 2 different ones, who is the first person within that organization that I usually touch. Not who closes the deal, not the decision maker. Who's the first person I touch? We always go, got to get the decision maker. Not when you're marketing. The CEO's not on Facebook. Well, today maybe he is, but usually the CEO's not on Facebook, but is maybe, her marketing chief might be. Maybe they're on Facebook. Maybe they're on Twitter. Maybe they're on Instagram. I don't know. And that's what you have to ask yourself. Who is the first person I want to talk to? And that person, now create that person. Literally create that persona. And it's the key, not of the decision maker, of the first person I'm talking to. Create that persona. If that person is usually a woman, I'm making it up, and she's usually a marketing chief, again, I'm making this up for the sake of argument, but your company knows who you usually talk to. And in some people, it is a CEO. Some people, they go right to the boss. That depends upon what you're doing. But for the sake of argument, it's the marketing chief. She's usually a woman. She's usually in her 20s. And I'm saying walk down that direct road. Like, she's usually in her 20s. She's usually a marketing chief, usually a woman. Why does that matter? Because I want to take my brand and talk to her in every way I communicate. In every way I communicate. But Larry, not every marketing chief is a woman. That's true. Absolutely. But if I'm focusing on her, I'll get the people around the side. I'll get those people around. If I'm focusing directly on her, I'll get the people on the side, because they are still speaking the same language. But Larry, not every marketing chief is in their 20s. I know. I'll get the ones in the 30s too, though, right? If I focus on that one person, I'll get the periphery. But I'm trying to spend my money, my time, my energy on the exact best clients possible. I will take what else falls in. And not just that, if I do that well, they will feel comfortable with me. They will refer me other business.